As Josh approached, grinning, I gave him a box and said, "Be careful, that one's full of old photo albums." I laughed. I showed him a few photos from when Greg and I were first married, and we spent the next hour browsing through the boxes. He appeared genuinely interested, asking questions and cracking jokes. As time went on, our informal conversations grew frequent. Josh frequently assisted with housework, and we grew closer. Greg also noticed and was relieved that someone was taking care of the house while he was at work. One day, I noticed Josh was quieter than usual. I asked him if everything was all right, and he hesitated before responding, "It's just that things at home are kind of tense." I nodded, realizing that it may sound like a lot, but you're doing fantastic. My mom has been battling health concerns, and I've been attempting to balance schoolwork and supporting her. Josh glanced at me with a gentle expression, saying, "Don't be too hard on yourself." Thank you. Since then, I've made it a point to check in on him frequently. Sometimes I'd send him home with a container of leftovers, or we'd sit on the porch and discuss anything from music to books to future goals. "Mrs. Carter, you're one of the few people who truly says that." Little acts of kindness between two people who had unintentionally discovered a peculiar friendship in the most surprising way by the end of the summer were all that was happening. Josh stopped over to say goodbye and thank you for being there for me before he departed for out-of-state college. He said, "I'll never forget your kindness." I smiled and gave him a hug, which seemed like a genuine farewell. As I watched him go down the road toward his car, I came to the realization that occasionally unexpected events can result in profound connections. Take care of yourself and contact your mom frequently. Not all stories have a dramatic or scandalous conclusion. Some come to an end with a silent farewell and a memory you'll treasure for a very long time, and Josh was one of those people. I had just gotten out of the shower when it occurred, so I wrapped myself in a towel and I thought the house was empty because my husband Greg had left for work an hour earlier and our daughter Lily was spending the weekend at my sister's house. I felt safe, at ease, and totally alone until I noticed Josh, my neighbor's 19-year-old son, standing motionless near the living room entrance. His eyes widened in shock when he saw me, and I froze in place, too stunned to react. My heart skipped a beat as I tightened the towel around myself and asked, "Josh, what are you doing here?" I asked in a voice that was a mixture of alarm and embarrassment, and his face flushed as he quickly turned away. "I am so sorry, Mrs. Carter." The door was open, and I heard something fall. "I thought you might be hurt, but I didn't mean to," I said, swearing that I had left the back door unlocked after watering the garden earlier. Josh must have entered thinking he was helping. He was a good kid who always helped his mom or neighbors without hesitation, but this moment was nothing short of embarrassing. I hurried back to my bedroom and put on a robe before turning to face him. He stood with his hands awkwardly in his pockets, his eyes fixed on the floor. "I didn't mean to see anything, I was just worried." "I'm really sorry," I said, trying to gather myself. "I know you didn't mean to. Thank you for checking, but next time just knock first." He nodded quickly and mumbled another apology before slipping out the door. For the rest of the day I couldn't stop thinking about the incident, not just the embarrassment of being seen like that but the way Josh had reacted. He didn't laugh, he didn't make it worse, he looked mortified himself and genuinely concerned. The next morning I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard a knock at the front door. To my surprise it was Josh, holding a small bouquet of daisies. "Hi, Mrs. Carter," he said nervously. "I just wanted to say sorry again. I felt terrible all night. I didn't mean to invade your space or make you uncomfortable." I was touched by the gesture. "That's very sweet, Josh. Thank you. I appreciate the thought." He offered a shy smile. "You're always kind to everyone in the neighborhood. I just didn't want you to think I'd ever do anything inappropriate." I invited him in for a quick chat, mostly to put him at ease. He sat awkwardly at the edge of the couch, clearly still uncomfortable. We ended up talking for nearly an hour. He told me about his college plans, his part-time job, and his interest in photography. I listened, amused at how easily the conversation flowed. After the rocky start from that day on, Josh would often wave when he passed our house. Sometimes he'd stop by with updates about his classes or just to say hello. Slowly the awkward memory of that first encounter began to fade. One afternoon a few weeks later I was organizing old boxes in the garage when I heard footsteps behind me. "Need a hand?"